Hello and welcome to Awaz News. I'm Kubrali and I'll be taking you through big news across Canada.
Metrolinx will move ahead with plans to chop down historic trees on Osgood Hall property despite ongoing review. A look inside a gutted Rogers Centre as work begins on $300 million renovation. London's Children's Hospital cancelling, reducing surgeries to maintain critical care capacity. This is how much it costs to rent an apartment in GTA. Pilot project at Canada-US border crossing offers hope for stalled Nexus program.
Those were the headlines, and let's jump right into the details.
Metrolinx has given notice of its intent to cut down 5 historic trees on the grounds of Osgood Hall after previously suggesting that it wouldn't move forward with the clearing until the completion of an independent review. The transit agency tells CP24 that the trees need to be removed in order to accommodate an upcoming archaeological assessment of the property. That assessment is being conducted before work begins on a new Ontario Line station in the area. The trees are located along an iron fence near Queen Street and University Avenue and are believed to be hundreds of years old. Metrolinx says that a draft notice was recently shared with the Law Society of Ontario for further discussion. That notice suggested that the removal of the trees would take place on December 5th. However, Metrolinx says the date could change. Metrolinx faced criticism this summer over its plans to tear up a portion of the grounds of Osgood Hall, including from Mayor John Tory. In a statement provided to CP24.com, Tory spokesperson Don Pete said that the mayor has a mandate from voters to get transit built but expects Metrolinx to be respectful of communities around future transit projects. He said that Tory met with Metrolinx about the Osgood Hall site after raising concerns this summer and will be following up again in the days ahead. The 15.6-kilometer Ontario line will run from Exhibition Place in the west to the Ontario Science Centre in the east. One of the 15 stations will be located underneath the corner of Osgood Hall's property near University Avenue and Queen Street West. Speaking with reporters at Queen's Park on Tuesday, Green Party leader Mike Schreiner said that while he can appreciate the urgency to get transit built, Metrolinx has an obligation to explore all possibilities and should be whatever is needed in reason to preserve those trees. It's my understanding that there's been alternative proposals put forward on how those trees can be protected by changing the design and placement of particular transit stop, he said. The Toronto Blue Jays announced on Tuesday that demolition is complete and construction on the first phase of a multi-year $300 million renovation of the Rogers Centre has begun. The Blue Jays shared video and images of the ongoing construction that show the removal of the thousands of 500 level seats, all of which will be replaced, and the structural demolition of the outfield. The club said the demolition began in October and was completed last week, while new construction began in the second week of November with concrete poured in the 500 level along with new structural steel installation. The demolition was completed last week, culminating in 35 days of work and approximately 21,000 worker hours, the Blue Jays said in a press release. An average of about 110 workers have been on site daily 6 days per week, including about 50 workers dedicated to demolition. Phase 1 of the renovation is set to be completed for the Jays' 2023 home opener. 2.2 million pounds of materials have been recycled from the stadium, including 1.3 million pounds of concrete and 900,000 pounds of steel and metal, the Blue Jays said. New seats will be delivered in January 2023. Information on the old 500 level seats will be shared when available. In addition to replacing all 500 level seats, which hasn't been done since the building opened, the final level will get 2 new social decks, similar to the existing WestJet flight deck, where fans can grab a drink and socialize with other fans regardless of their seats. At the field level, there are plans in place to build a family room for the players' families, a 5,000 square foot weight room, as well as staff locker rooms. The second set of renovations will begin in the 2023-2024 off-season and include upgrades to the 100-level infield, field-level premium clubs and social spaces and clubhouses and player facilities. The Rogers Center opened in 1989 as the Sky Dome at a cost of roughly $470 million, or about $1 billion in today's dollars, and was the first stadium ever built with a fully retractable motorized roof. As previously reported by TSN, the club believes the renovations will extend the lifespan of the stadium by an additional 10 to 15 years. Two people have been charged after a 95-year-old woman was defrauded nearly $20,000 in connection with a grandparent scam. York Regional Police said the woman, who lost $13,000 in October due to the scam, was contacted again by the suspect demanding more money. The suspect went to the victim's home in a vehicle with another suspect to collect the money, police said. They allegedly took $6,000 from the woman. Police were contacted and officers were able to locate the vehicle and stop it in the Oshawa, subsequently arresting the two suspects. They have been identified as 18-year-old Keyshawn Rose of Brampton and 21-year-old Lawrence Sparks of Cambridge. Police said the suspects are believed to be linked to 4 incidents. The two have been charged with 4 counts of fraud over $5,000, 4 counts of possession of property obtained by crime, and 4 counts of extortion. Police are reminding the public to be alert to avoid becoming a victim of scam which primarily targets elderly people. The scam involves people pretending to be someone's grandchild in distress and demanding money to get out of trouble. Sometimes another person will pose as government official or police officer to provide instructions on delivering the money. These types of frauds may be repeated over the course of days, weeks, or even months, as the criminals gain the trust of their victims, police said. Canadian Tire Corporation has failed to ensure garment workers in its South Asian supplier factories are paid a living wage, labor groups allege in a complaint filed with the federal corporate watchdog. The Canadian Labour Congress and the United Steelworkers Union filed a complaint with the Canadian Ombudsperson for Responsible Enterprise on Tuesday, calling on the office to investigate allegations of human rights abuses in the retailer's supply chain. The complaint alleges that workers in Bangladeshi garment factories that supplied Canadian Tire subsidiary Marks with the clothing sold under brand names like Wind River, Denver Heights, Dakota, and Helly Hansen are paid poverty-level wages. Mark's failure to ensure living wages paid to workers in supply chain is a human rights abuse, the complaint addressed to Ombudsperson Sherry Mayer-Hofer said. Canadian Tire said it works to ensure that its suppliers comply with all local laws, including compensation. While the company's suppliers may pay slightly more than the legal minimum wage in Bangladesh, garment workers still earn less than $1 an hour on average, said Kalpana Akhtar, executive director of the Bangladesh Center for Worker Solidarity. Workers live in overcrowded housing and struggle to buy food despite working as much as 6 days a week and 12 hours a day, she said. Many face a constant struggle to feed themselves and their families and live one step away from abject poverty, Akhtar said during a news conference. Marty Warren, Canadian National Director of the United Steelworkers Union, said that Canadian tire suppliers contravene international human rights standards. The women and men employed in Bangladesh garment factories, like those used by Marks and Canadian Tire, live in poverty, he said during a news conference. Canadian Tire has influence and resources to ensure that rights are respected, Warren said. They need to be pushed to live up to their responsibilities. The complaint requests that federal corporate watchdog determine the extent of their human rights abuses in the Bangladesh ready-made garment industry and the company's failure to ensure workers in their supply chain are paid a living wage. The labor groups are asking the watchdog to recommend that Canadian Tire publicly commits to ensuring a living wage is paid to all workers in its global garment supply chain. Bangladesh is one of the world's largest garment exporters. In 2013, a factory that collapsed in Bangladesh, killing more than 200 people, made Joe Fresh brand clothes. Loblaw said at the time that it has vendor standards which ensure products are manufactured in a socially responsible way.
Thank you for tuning in. I'm Kubra Ali. I'll see you back tomorrow, same time, same channel. Have a good night.